God, drama, drama, drama. They are stealing my culture. Bassem Youssef on Netflix, Cleopatra casting. Piers Morgan, uncensored, talking about it. Let's go.
The big budget Netflix series on... Welcome back to Piers Morgan Uncensored. The big budget Netflix series on Cleopatra has been hit with claims of cultural vandalism over the casting of black actress Adele James in the lead role. Well, Cleopatra's precise heritage is a point of scholarly debate. There's no evidence that she was black, and the casting has caused major controversy in Egypt, spurring a lawsuit and claims the program makers are erasing Egyptian identity. It's not the first casting controversy we've seen, of course, though the backlash is normally the other way round. Bryan Cranston was lambasted for playing a disabled character in The Upside, as was Jake Gyllenhaal, who starred in The Prince of Persia despite not being Persian or a prince. And of course, Eddie Redmayne, who issued a grovelling...
Prince of Persia. He wasn't Persian, nor a prince. Oh my God, I love how he put those in.
A trans woman in The Danish Girl. So is casting Cleopatra as a black woman culturally insensitive? Should we care? Isn't the job of an actor, after all, to act?
Oh.
Well, joining me now is legendary Egyptian comedian Bassem Youssef and author of The Case for Cancel Culture, Ernest Owens. Well, welcome to both of you.
Did he say Egyptian comedian?
Comedian Bassem Youssef. Who is to act? Well, joining me now is legendary Egyptian comedian Bassem Youssef.
Legendary Egyptian comedian. Okay.
And author of The Case for Cancel Culture, Ernest Owens. Well, welcome to both of you. Okay, let me start with you, Ernest Owens. Off you go.
Yeah, I think that this is ridiculous. I think that she is in full range to play Cleopatra. I think people should remember that there was controversy when the late, great Elizabeth Taylor played Cleopatra, and people thought that it was inaccurate for a white woman like her to play the character. History has said that there is some racial ambiguity around Cleopatra's identity. She's definitely not white. And I think to even assume that Egyptians do not carry some level of African ancestry that can have a darker skin complexion is also historically inaccurate. So I think she's more of the ideal of what Cleopatra would look like more than Elizabeth Taylor would be. And you didn't see as much backlash for Elizabeth Taylor playing Cleopatra.
Yes, but Elizabeth Taylor played in a movie, not in a documentary.
Yeah, that's a fair point. So let me go to you, Bess. I mean, that is a fair point. Liz Taylor was the biggest movie star in the world at the time she played Cleopatra. She was not Egyptian. What's the difference?
Well, first of all, this was Hollywood before it was informed. This is where 1961, when Cleopatra by Elizabeth Taylor, we're not crazy about Elizabeth Taylor playing Cleopatra either. That was also inaccurate. I don't know where do you get the idea that we're happy that she played the role. As a matter of fact, 1961 Cleopatra movie was banned in Egypt and many Arab countries because of Elizabeth Taylor's stance towards the state of Israel, because they supported them. So I don't know where does he get this information. Second of all, this is the same Hollywood that in 1956 they cast John Wayne as Genghis Khan. So this is a time where Hollywood didn't know any better. Now, the problem for me, it's not about color. It's not about white and black. This is a very reductive way to talk about things. This is the way that Americans talk about it. I'm very sorry. Like, I come from Egypt. Egypt has a very diverse color palette. People can look like me or they can look deeper skin tone like Anwar Sadat, who comes from a Nubian origin. It's not about black and white. It's about the continuous culture appropriation and falsification of history that has been done by what the so-called Afrocentrist movement. The Afrocentric movement started the last century as a way, in a good intention, to teach African American about their rich history of West Africa, the great empire of Benin, of Ghana, of Songhali, the great empire of Mali. But the thing is, that's why you find people like Kevin Hart, who subscribes to these theories, who claim that his ancestors built the pyramids. I'm sorry, your ancestors had their own wonderful civilization in West Africa. They are culture appropriating my culture, calling the people of Egypt of today, despite their skin tone, that they call us as invaders, they call us as intruders, and they are being erased from our own history. This is something that Hollywood has done over the years.
I understand, but let me throw this back at you. There's this point that we've had so many cases now where people talk about...
I love how Piers is in the middle, and he's just like, throwing pieces at them, and
creation with actors, be it their sexuality, be it their gender on occasion, be it whatever it may be. And ultimately, I always come back to one point, which is, shouldn't actors do what their job description is? Act. I mean, shouldn't any actor be able to play any part, actually? And once you start making exceptions for that rule, where do you stop?
Is that question for me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, first of all, this is not a work of fiction. This is a documentary. This is a documentary.
That is exactly the point. This is the whole point, is that it is stating that it is a documentary. Since when in a documentary you bring fiction? Since when you don't have facts in a documentary? You need only facts and 100% facts in a documentary, nothing less than that. Everything that is less than that needs to be clearly stated in a documentary. Clearly, like big letters, a full 5 minutes stating that it is a fiction.
There's a huge difference. This is not the Little Mermaid, which is like a fictional character where anybody can play anything. Cleopatra came from a Macedonian Greek origin. And the thing is, it's not about like the skin color. We don't care about if they're black or white. It's about how Hollywood is so culturally sensitive, and they're so sensitive about all kinds of minorities. But when it comes to my people, we seem to be erased. A couple of years ago, they announced that Gal Gadot, an ex-Israeli soldier who condones her government actions, atrocities against Palestinian children, she was going to play Cleopatra. For me, this is even a bigger insult. And Gal Gadot is not black.
Oh, that is a big insult. Going to history between Israel and Egypt and Middle East as well, this is an insult. Like, I know you need to, I understand like America has its own issues and they have their own cultural problems, but you need to be careful what you're doing. You need to educate yourself that you're not the only ones and your issues are not the only ones, and you per se don't deserve to erase other cultures and other people's issues to deal with your own. That is not nice at all.
It's not about black and white. It's about this idea of Hollywood always stealing the culture of my own people. I don't care what Charlton Heston tells you in the Ten Commandments or Steven Spielberg tells you in The Prince of Egypt, but I am sorry, Jewish slaves did not build the Great Pyramid. This has been debunked many times by two historians.
Let me
so the thing is, like, we are the only people who are not allowed to tell our own... We are the only people who are not allowed to talk about our own history.
All right, let me
bring...
All right,
doing it for us.
Okay.
I disagree.
Hang on, Ernest. Let me ask you a question, Ernest, which is, how would you feel if a white actor was chosen to play Nelson Mandela?
That's exactly what I mentioned on yesterday's video. I was like, the easiest way how you can explain to people when you are hurt is put yourself, or give an example where they can put themselves into someone else's life. How would it feel like if a white person portrayed Martin Luther King or Malcolm X and they made a documentary about Malcolm X, but the white person was Malcolm X? I can't even say that. I literally can't say that with a straight face on, okay? Just imagine.
I think that there is historical inaccuracies there. I think that, I think what he's confusing is race and nationality. And I also think that is why you don't see as many black actors upset as Cynthia Erivo, who is British, who played, Harriet, because we understand the nuances of racial identity compared to nationality versus the identity of the African diaspora. So no one's upset about the fact that David Oyelowo played MLK. There may be some people, but others didn't, because we understood the nuance of racial identity. So when we're talking about race and nationality, those are two different things. But I think the issue that I want to push back on what he said earlier is that there are other actors in this film that are playing Egyptians that do not look like Cleopatra or come from there. And I just feel like the energy being focused on Cleopatra is why some people are pushing back, because this actress could easily look, by identity, looks closer to what Cleopatra could look like. But the rest of that cast is fairly white, and you're not saying anything about those individuals. You're only focused on Cleopatra, who's being played by this black actress. But when you look at the other cast, I don't think they're all Egyptian. I don't think they all represent the cast.
All right, let me bring in. Okay, let me bring back Bassem. I mean, if this was in a theatre production, I could imagine this happening without people creating much of a fuss. Is it because it's a Hollywood movie and Hollywood's put itself in the vanguard of culture?
It's about the fact that it is not a Hollywood movie. It's about the fact that it is a Hollywood documentary.
It's a documentary. Hollywood has been erasing my people from telling. We are not allowed to tell our own history. And I'm sorry, I have to disagree with the gentleman. It's not about, it's not just Cleopatra. Everybody in that movie, her court, everybody who's supposed to be Egyptian, they look like they came from West Africa, from the south of the Sahara. We, as Egyptians, are being called intruders and invaders in our own culture. This has been going on systematically. I don't want to wake up one day and find a museum of the African American culture and history claiming the stolen Egyptian artifacts in the British Museum to be theirs. And now I'm hearing that Zendaya, the very popular actor, who I would love her to play it, but Zendaya ethnically is half Nigerian, half German, and now she's going to play. Where are the Egyptian actors? Where are the Arab actors who suppose it? And the thing is, even like historically wise, you see in the trailer, it's like, I don't care what they told you, but Cleopatra was black. Who's that woman? Why is African American people are telling my own history? She is there's all of these pseudoscience and pseudo history has been going on, and it has implications. No, I am
sorry. But let's make a Jewish documentary or a documentary about Israel, about the people suffering and whatnot. But let's, a black person can talk that story, you know, because my grandmother fictionally thought about it and she said, I am 20% black and whatever, you know, like, imagine that. Just imagine and make it a documentary, by the way. Make it a documentary.
African people from West Africa did not build the pyramids.
Okay.
Cleopatra did not like that. And also Jewish people do not build the pyramids.
Okay.
It is time for Hollywood to listen to the people who own that history. So
well,
we
you've
can
made that. You've made that.
One more thing.
I just want to say
one more thing. Egypt had 30 dynasties over 2,700 years. We had kings and
bitch.
Queens from the kingdom of Kush, from Nubia, from Libya. This area had bled into each other and expanded and shrunk into each other. I understand exactly what I mean when I say nationality or heritage or ethnicity.
You both made your point strongly.
Thank you.
It's an interesting debate.
I don't think they made their point strongly. I think this could have went forward, and I think they could have talked a bit more about it. Especially the guy on the side, like, he didn't say much. All he did is try to deflame the situation by presenting some examples where things like this have been already made. But what people don't understand is someone else's problems don't, like, you cannot choose these examples as a way to do it, like as a way to get with it, you know, like, that's a different story. We never agreed on some things, that they happen, that they are fine or not. We're talking about the now, and we are talking about this. And you cannot say, oh, because this has been done or that has been done, then this should be fine as well. Just because back in the day we didn't have this power of internet and the power of all people from around the world to share their story and talk uncensored, it doesn't mean that still we have to shut up and not speak.
Thank you both very much.
It's a different age. It's a different time. Back then in Hollywood, it was completely different. And because it happened back then, doesn't mean that it should happen again, especially not now. History should not repeat itself. And I think we need to move forward from that. I don't see anything wrong with making a documentary about Egypt, documentary about Cleopatra. But if you are making that, the people who are working on that and the people who are presenting that should be Egyptian. They should have lived through it, historically have been worked through it. Like the guy, not even this one, but the other guy who was talking about it, that they stole the history, he said that she was not Black because he worked on the excavation of Cleopatra's grave. He literally took the coins with her face on it, and he said, on the coin you can see. Like, how hard is it to ask someone who is into it, who did the job and work? But I shared this on my Twitter. I had to share this on my Twitter, you guys. After the success of Cleopatra, Netflix brings you Elon Musk. I don't want to be rude, but like, yeah. Like, please don't do it. We don't want to be mean, and I don't think Egyptians want to be mean or whatever. They didn't raise their voice before because it was a piece of fiction. But if it's a documentary, we have to put a stop on it. All right? We cannot allow documentaries and things like that to educate our children and grandchildren into nonsense, historically inaccurate things.